So in the last video, I talked about the basics of automated testing and now getting into Jest and how we implement this. And so on the Getting Started page, it talks about installing the dev dependency for Jest and just getting a quick function set up and a separate file called sum.test.js and adding a script. So let's look through all that. Here in the code, I've got my package.json. We've added this test Jest. So what this is going to do is when we run this, it's going to go into the node modules and run Jest. And so we've got the sum.js file and we've got the function defined. It just takes two parameters and it returns them added together. And we're doing this module.exports because Jest is kind of done in a node environment. So this is basically just doing kind of the similar thing that export does. So export sum. And then we have sum.test.js. And so when we're doing testing, especially with functions, we'll usually export the function and then the test file, we'll import it. We're using this require syntax because we're in node mode. And then we'll actually do the test. And there's a couple ways to kind of write out these tests, but essentially you have this test function. You can use test or you can use it. And the first argument of that is the description of what the test should be. So it's saying, hey, this function should add 1 and 2 together and it should give us 3. So this is just description. You can write anything here, but it should describe what the test does. How I would actually do it is I would write something like test that the function sums two numbers together. The second argument is a callback function. So you can see this arrow. And in here we have the actual test. So it's saying, hey, I expect when I call this function with these two arguments that it should return a value of 3. And you read it like English. Expect this function call to be 3. So now I'm going to go into my terminal. I'm going to run npm test. That's going to run that script. And then we have here a pass. So it says, hey, that the function sums two numbers together. Whoops, I spelled it wrong. Together. But that's this is going to be output in the terminal. And then the check mark says, yes, this worked. So let's kind of break this up a bit. Let's say that we wrote our test in a faulty way. And we said, oh, hey, 2 and 2 should be 3, right? If we run this, it's going to fail because it'll be like, hey, this is what I got inside of the parentheses. The function returned 4. And according to you, we should have expected 3. So the test failed, but that's because you wrote the test wrong. So you can write faulty tests. Just because a test fails doesn't mean there's something wrong with the code. So that's one issue you can have. Now, you could also have an issue in your code. Maybe you accidentally did like times or something. And this would actually fail too. So 1 times 2 is just 2. And it'll say, hey, you received 2, but expected it to be 3. So when you're doing your test, when you're writing your test, you're essentially thinking up what you know in your human brain the function should do. So the function sum, it should add two things together. Oftentimes, you'll write your tests out in a way to kind of label the inputs and outputs. So it could be const num1 equals 1, const num2 equals 2. Oops, didn't mean to write a comma. And const total equals num1 plus num2. So you're kind of prepping your test up and then plugging the values in. So that's a pattern that you'll see sometimes, and that kind of makes it a little more clear what you're doing. So we run that, and oh yeah, we never fixed the plus here. So go back, fix the plus, run the test, and everything's great. Cool. So that's the basics of Jest testing. In the next video, we'll kind of expand this up a bit, and I'll show you some of the different key features that a typical unit testing suite might look like. So I'll see you in the next video.